Retired NASA astronaut Leroy Chow joins us to talk about these private space trips. Leroy, thanks for joining us this morning. So what kind of preparation had to go into this, and how is it different for people who aren't professional astronauts? I imagine that training for that is pretty rigorous.
Right, so it's quite different because for a professional astronaut, of course, you have to have the qualifications, not only the educational qualifications and work experience, but also the medical qualifications to be a professional astronaut. And then after that, it's several years of training, if you will, kind of generic training. And then once you get assigned to a mission, you do your mission-specific training. And so it's a number of years between being selected and then actually getting to go fly. On something like this, which I think is great, by the way, the commercial space industry is finally getting going, and so that's very exciting. You're not just a passenger. You do have to undergo some training. You have to understand how to work, your personal equipment, including perhaps a pressure suit. You have to understand what to do in an emergency. Mostly listen to the professionals on board. So you're kind of in between. But the preparation is basically, instead of years, you're probably looking at maybe several weeks or thereabouts.
Oh man, that is insane. So what sort of dangers or complications do Branson and Bezos face with their trips? Because I know the first thing that went through my mind was, I don't know if this is going to be good.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're getting into a vehicle that has rocket engines and it's going to propel you out of the atmosphere, you're taking some risk.
Yes.
You're dealing with rocket engines that have to work right. You're dealing with coming back down in the heat of reentry, so your vehicle has to, perform. And so, it's no surprise then that, for example, Jeff Bezos, had to have a succession plan in place. I'm sure his shareholders and his board made him, have a succession plan in place just in case something goes wrong. But on the other hand, these vehicles have both been pretty thoroughly tested. And so, there's high confidence, I would say, that they're going to be fine.
Definitely. So Branson says that this has been his dream for years and years, and he sees space travel being more accessible in the future. I want our viewers to take a listen to what he said.
It's going to take us quite a long time to be able to build enough spaceships to bring the price down so that young people, will be able to go to space. But that was the same with ordinary airline travel. Back in the 1920s, it was only the rich people that traveled, but they then enabled more and more airplanes to be built, which has enabled more and more people to be able to fly.
The only difference is that space travel is not normal just yet anyway. So do you see this opening new possibilities for future space tourism, or is this just a flash in the pan moment for these billionaires?
It's hard to say because both of these flights are what we call suborbital. That is, they're not going into Earth orbit. They're going to touch space and then come right back down. In fact, the Blue Origin flight is only around 11 minutes. The only reason the Virgin Galactic flight is longer is instead of taking a booster rocket to get them up to the point of launch, they have another airplane that takes them up to high altitude before they launch the spacecraft. And so what you're looking at is reduced cost for sure. In the case of Virgin Galactic, the reports are that they're selling seats, or they have sold seats for around $250,000, which is a far cry from an orbital adventure, which based on the last prices that were advertised for flying with the Russians were somewhere in the $60 to $70 million range for about a week. So quite a reduction in price, but still out of reach for most normal, quote unquote, normal people.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I see a ticket, for a normal plane above 300 and I want to cry. So that would not work
right,
for me.
Exactly.
All right, Leroy, thank you so much for that insight.
My pleasure.